We went to a quiet Pacific coast to check on a small team that stopped talking to command. It was supposed to be a fast job, but when we got there, things didn't make sense. Their gear was left in place. No signs of a fight. Our radios kept cutting out. The sea kept acting strange, and then something in the water started coming toward us, slow and steady, like it already knew we were there. What would you do in that moment? Tell me in the comments. And like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Now, let's begin. I still remember the taste of that night, cold salt on the wind. Winter creeping into the bone. The kind of dark that swallows your depth perception until everything past 10 feet feels like a lie. It was 0210 local when our boat died to a stop. Engine cut, just a slow drift toward a jagged Pacific coastline. Nobody talked about unless they had to. Black rocks, black water. Old concrete bunkers half sunk into the cliffs like rotten teeth. The nearest town was hours away. Nothing out there but us in the surf chewing the coast over and over. We had come in quiet, just 5 of us. A simple recon, or that was what command wanted it to sound like. A small surveillance detachment on this border zone had gone silent 3 days earlier. They had reported some navigation drift, some comm dropouts, nothing major. Then, nothing. No emergency call, no mayday, no signals after. Command decided we were the quick answer. Slip in, check their gear, check the bunkers, pull whatever data logs were left, confirm if it was enemy, accident, or busted equipment. In and out before dawn. That was the plan. Bletton Mason Cole was our lead. Good officer, calm, kind. Rules mattered to him, but not in a stiff way. He used them like guardrails. He carried a quiet weight though. A past stop where missing guys stayed missing. He never talked about it, but you could see it in the way he counted heads every hour, like he expected someone to vanish if he blinked too long. Chief Navarro was with us too. We called him Graves, senior man on the team. Sharp instincts. The kind of operator who could feel trouble before any sensor lit up. I saw the way he looked at the coastline when we got close. He went still, like something old had crawled out of memory and grabbed his shoulder. Later he told me he recognized the name from a sealed op long before my time. Back then, that alone should have been enough to bother me, but I was younger. Thought experience made guys paranoid. Eli Park walked point. Quiet, precise, always noticing things the rest of us missed. He could track footsteps on concrete if someone sneezed near them. Guy never bragged, never needed to. You just trusted what he saw. Doc Ruiz came next. Lena, steady under pressure. She hated unknowns because you couldn't treat unknowns. She wanted wounds she could stitch and bones she could splint. She had no patience for things she couldn't quantify. That coastline already had her jaw tight. Then there was Hawk Jameson, comms, constant jokes, the kind that were more for him than for us. He liked clean signals the way some people like clean clothes. Any static irritated him like sand in his teeth. Me? I was just another body in the stack. Another operator with enough years to know when something felt off, and enough discipline not to say it unless it mattered. Before we slipped into the water, we did the usual gear check. Hands brushing over straps, mags, plates, radios, strobes. Hawk whispered something stupid about the cold being good for his joints. Ruiz muttered at him to shut up before the sea heard him. Cole grinned at that, the only smile he'd let out until the mission was done. The boat captain tapped Cole's shoulder. Time to go. We dropped in, fins kicking, bodies sliding through the dark water, breathing slow, minimal splash, everything routine, everything quiet. The cold hit hard, but we were used to that. We moved as a single line toward the rocks. The waves smashed the shoreline in these uneven pulses, but we timed our climb and made it without noise. Once up on the rocks, we stripped fins, checked radios again. Only the surf answered us. No lights inland, no movement. No sign of the small surveillance team that had gone dark. Cole spoke low. Confirm objective. Survey the old bunker line. Locate the detachment's last position. Pull intel. Return by 0430. No heroics. Graves nodded. Simple enough. Simple was always a warning. Missions only got called simple when someone wanted them off the books fast. The air was sharp in the lungs up there. Smelled like cold metal and wet stone. The bunkers were these old concrete blocks half swallowed by the cliffside. Some dated back decades. No one maintained them. No one cared about this stretch of border unless something went wrong, and something had gone wrong. We moved up the slope in a staggered line, keeping low, keeping dark. Park scanned left and right. His NV flickered once, then settled. He didn't comment. Probably thought it was the cold. Hawk whispered behind me. "Radio's clean. For now." Cole shot him a glance. For now, just a faint hiccup. Like a half-second dropout. Like a half-second dropout. Could be nothing. Could be the cliffs, Ruiz said quietly. Old wiring in those bunkers. Might bleed interference. Graves didn't say anything. He just watched the sea, like it was listening. The routine kept us calm. The climb, the movement checks, the cold air in the throat. I remember thinking how normal it all felt. A basic recon on dead ground, no enemy patrols, no gunfire, just wind and water. Too easy maybe, but I wasn't complaining. When we hit the first bunker, Park held a fist up. We froze. He listened, scanned, then waved us forward. Inside was empty. Dust. Rust. Old ammo cans that hadn't been opened since before I enlisted. Nothing that explained why a detachment would drop comms. Nothing that pointed to a fight. Cole marked the location on his map board. Next bunker. Keep eyes open. We moved along the ridge. The surf was loud but steady. A comfort, in a strange way. Something constant. Something natural. I remember Graves slowing down. Barely. Just a shift in his posture. "You all right, Chief?" Cole asked him. Graves kept his eyes on the water. "This place has been a problem before." Cole stopped walking. "Explain." "Can't." Files were sealed. I wasn't read in. Just heard things from the older guys. A patrol went missing. That's all I know. Ruiz exhaled through her nose. "Missing how?" "No bodies," Graves said. "No report. Just gone." Park looked back at us. "We still pushing the objective?" Cole thought on it. I saw the gears turning. That guilt he carried pressing against the decision. But he didn't hesitate long. "We continue," he said. "But we adjust." He laid it out fast and clean. "Stay off the water line unless we have to. Mark every exit path. Keep lights low, keep voices lower." We all nodded. Hawk checked his radio again. Comm steady inland. Drift only near the surf. We tried to make sense of it. Magnetic rock, saltwater reflection, damaged gear. Old bunker wiring humming through the ground. All of it made more sense than anything else. Strange places make strange readings. That was how we justified it. The wind picked up a little, just enough to push spray against our faces. I wiped my visor clean and kept moving. That coastline felt empty. Too empty. No wildlife noises. No gulls. No insects. Just the sea. Always the sea. We reached a plateau overlooking the next bunker line. Park motioned us into formation. He paused, scanning the water again. "The waves are off," he said softly. Cole frowned. "Off how?" "They're hitting the rocks out of rhythm. Like something's pushing from beneath instead of the tide." Ruiz looked uneasy. Water does weird things around uneven cliffs. Park didn't argue. He just kept watching. We moved down the slope, boots slipping slightly on wet stone. Still nothing from the missing detachment. No gear. No tracks. No broken fences or damaged stores. It was like they never existed. But I remember feeling calm. Honest calm. Because everything still made sense. The world matched what I knew. We had problems to solve, but they were normal problems. Missing men. Bad terrain. Failing equipment. We weren't hunting monsters. We weren't expecting anything unnatural. We were special operations. We verified, documented, and left. That was the job. And that night, at that moment, it still felt like any other job. If I had known what waited past the next rise, I would have sworn the wind sounded different. Like it was trying to warn us. But we didn't hear it. We just kept moving. We pushed farther inland, following the ridge above the surf. The ground felt uneven under our boots, like the rock had shifted over the years. The wind cut along the cliff, carrying that cold spray that clung to the gear straps and stiffened everything it touched. We were maybe 200 yards from the last bunker the detachment had pinged from when Hawk cursed under his breath. Radio just dipped again, he said. Only for half a second. Same pattern, only when I'm pointed toward the water. Cole stopped the formation and checked his own handset. He listened for a moment. Nothing but quiet. Could be the cliffs, he said. Could be, Hawk answered, but he didn't sound sure. He kept tapping the side of the radio like he was trying to wake it up. Park crouched by a patch of sand trapped between rocks. He ran a gloved hand through it. GPS drift again. Only a few feet, but it spikes when I move closer to the shoreline. He pointed at the little handheld clipped to his vest. Signals fine inland. Ruiz knelt beside him. Could be magnetic rock. These cliffs are old, not mapped right. Could confuse the sensors. Park nodded, but only because he wanted it to be true. Graves stayed quiet. He stood with his back to the rest of us, eyes drifting to the dark water below like it was trying to talk to him. Cole walked up beside him. What's bothering you? Graves didn't answer right away. The surf hit the rocks in one long, dragging hit. Then another. Then a pause that didn't feel natural. This place, he said finally, has patterns I don't like. What kind? Cole asked. Wrong kind. That was all he gave. No details, no story. Nothing we could work with. Just that flat voice from a man who'd seen more than most. Cole didn't push him. He just called us back into movement. We kept going with lights low, only soft red glows when we needed them. Night vision doing most of the work. Mine sputtered once, flickered again, then steadied. I told myself the battery was just cold. The path narrowed along the ridge. The waves below looked calm enough, but something about them felt off. They rolled in late, rolled out early. The timing was wrong, like the sea couldn't figure out its own rhythm. Feels like the tide's arguing with itself, Hawk muttered. Ruiz shot him a look. Stop giving the ocean opinions. Sorry, he whispered, though he kept glancing down anyway. We reached a break in the ridge where the rock sloped downward toward another bunker. This one was half collapsed, rebar jutting out of its roof like broken bones. The entrance was still clear, though. Park held up a hand. Tracks, removed in tight. He pointed to faint impressions in the sand. Boot prints, maybe a day or two old. But the pattern dropped off fast, like whoever made them stopped walking and vanished backward. No scuffle. No drag, just a clean end. Cole crouched beside him. Wind doesn't erase only half a trail, Park said. We kept scanning but found nothing else. No gear. No loose brass. No sign of a fight. Cole marked the bunker on his map board. We keep pushing. But before we moved, Graves spoke up again. We need to stay off the waterline from here on. You think it's enemy? Ruiz asked. No. Enemy leaves evidence. This isn't that. That silence settled in again. Heavy. No one wanted to be the first to ask what he meant. Cole finally broke it. We stay inland unless absolutely necessary. Everyone mark your fallback routes every 50 yards. Hawk, keep radio checks every 10 minutes. No chatter unless needed. Got it, Hawk said, though his voice was low. We moved again. The wind felt colder now, even though the temperature hadn't changed. The surf kept hitting, but every now and then there was this deep, dull thump. Not like a wave, more like something heavy shifting underwater. Park noticed it first. That's not tide. Ruiz tried to rationalize it. Could be old debris rolling on the bottom. Bunkers collapsed into the water over the years. Graves didn't buy it. His jaw was set tight. We reached a small plateau where we could see the entire stretch of shoreline. Dark water pulsing in and out, slapping the rock, but the pattern stayed wrong. Too slow one moment, too fast the next. And when we paused, the water almost seemed to pause with us. Park adjusted his NV and whispered, "It's matching our movement." "No way," Hawk said, but he sounded like he was trying to convince himself. Cole shifted his stance. We continue mission. We stay alert. No one gets near that surf unless I say so. I remember checking my gear again, even though everything was tight. Something about that coastline made your body want to prepare for things you couldn't name. The bunker ahead loomed like a dead thing. Concrete cracked, doors rusted. But it felt like the only place in the area that wasn't watching us. GPS drift spiked again as Park got closer to the edge of the ridge. Only by a few feet, but the jump was sharp. "It's like the signal is bending," he said. "Or bouncing," Hawk offered. "Off what?" Ruiz asked. No one answered. The comms dropped for a heartbeat. A tiny pop in my earpiece. Then it came back. Hawk froze. There it is again. Only when the surf hits hard. Cole nodded. We log it. We keep moving. We tried to stay logical. Tried to think like professionals. Strange readings always had explanations. Rod formations. Magnetic veins. Old wiring from forgotten infrastructure. None of it was new to us. But Graves wasn't looking at the sensors. He was staring down at the water with that same steady, grim focus. This place doesn't want us here, he said. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't try to make it dramatic. It was just a fact to him. Cole heard it. He took a moment, then gave new orders. We tighten formation. We move quiet. No lights unless necessary. Mark the fastest exit route toward the extraction bay. Stay off the surf. That was the moment everything changed. A small choice. A smart one. But it shaped the rest. If we had backed out right then, maybe things would have gone different. But we didn't. We kept moving toward the next rise, toward the abandoned checkpoint where we'd find our first real sign that the surveillance team hadn't just gone missing. Something had taken them, and it was waiting for us. We reached the old checkpoint a little before 0300. The air was colder up there, drifting down from the cliff tops and settling into the broken concrete like the place was holding its breath. The checkpoint sat at the edge of a wide, flat stretch that overlooked the water, rusted rails, cracked pavement, sand blown into corners where boots had once stood guard decades earlier. Park went in first, sweeping with that slow, careful motion he always used. The rest of us fanned out behind him, spacing just right, rifles angled down the lanes and gaps. Clear left, Park called softly. Clear right, Graves added. The checkpoint itself looked dead. No lights. No signs of a fight. But the kind of dead that felt arranged, not abandoned. Cole stepped past the rusted turnstile frame and pointed toward the far corner. There. A rucksack sat propped against the concrete wall. Neat. Upright. Not dropped. Not thrown. Placed. Park crouched beside it. This is recent. Ruiz moved closer. Any blood? None, Park said. Hawk knelt next to him and checked the radio unit strapped inside the pack. Batteries full. Not waterlogged. Should have been transmitting. Ammo full, Park added. Magazines untouched. Cole stared at the pack like it offended him. Weapon? Park pointed. A rifle lay next to the ruck, secured with the sling wrapped clean around it. Safety on. Barrel cap still in place. Who leaves their weapon like that? Ruiz asked. No one, Graves said. Not unless they expected to come back. The checkpoint felt colder. The surf below hit the rocks in 3 fast strikes, then went silent for a moment longer than usual. Felt like a gap in sound where something else should have been. Cole checked the perimeter again. No drag marks. No scuffle. No shell casings. Hawk shook his head. Guy didn't run. Didn't fight. Didn't even drop his gear. It's like he was lifted out of it. Ruiz frowned. Lifted? Like how? No one answered. We didn't want to. Park stood and scanned the ridge behind us. Tracks ended the entrance. No exit pattern. Cole looked over all of it. Calm, focused, but I could see that old guilt pressing on him again. We move on. Eyes wide. We reformed the line. I took rear for a moment while Hawk logged the gear serials and snapped quick photos. We started shifting toward the next approach point when everything went still. The wind stopped. The surf held in some strange delay. Even the cold on my face eased for a heartbeat. Then a single suppressed gunshot cracked through the air. Just one. Clean. Light. Sharp. A direction you couldn't place because the echo died too fast. And one of ours went down. SEAL 1 Rodriguez hit the ground without a word, collapsing sideways. We hadn't even realized he'd moved off the back arc to get eyes on the opposite flank. Cole dropped instantly. Security arc now. We moved like instinct. No shouting. No panic. Just years of training snapping into the bones. Ruiz slid to Rodriguez's side, hands already checking for a pulse. Park put his scope on the ridgeline. Graves shifted to cover the surf side. I scanned for muzzle flash, heat shimmer, anything. Nothing. No second shot. No follow-up. Whoever fired wanted only one round. Hawk stayed low, tapping his radio, whispering, trying to raise command, nothing moving through. Ruiz looked up, shaking her head once. He's gone. Clean entry. No exit. Bullets lodged somewhere deep. Dead on impact. Cole didn't look away from the ridge. Shooters not engaging again. That's not how ambushes work, Park muttered. No, Graves said. It's how warnings work. A heavy wave slammed the rocks below us. Not a normal one. A deep body of water shifting like something big rolled beneath it. The vibration crawled up through the stone and into our boots. Cole's eyes narrowed. We repositioned, moved to better cover. Park didn't move right away. He was staring at Rodriguez's body. Why one shot? Why him? Cole answered with that steady voice he used when everything turned strange. Doesn't matter. We adapt, move. We pulled back 20 yards to a thicker concrete wall. Hawk dragged Rodriguez's gear but left the body. No time. No safe way to recover him yet. Ruiz hated it, but she didn't argue. I kept watching the ridge, the valley, the shadows near the surf. Nothing moved. Nothing gave away the shooter. It wasn't human behavior. Even hostile patrols always fired in pairs or bursts. This was surgical, cold, intentional. Graves crouched next to Cole. This is pressure. It's pushing us. Pushing us where? Ruiz asked. He didn't respond. Cole wiped the moisture off his NB housing. We keep moving inland. Avoid the surf. Stay unpredictable. But the surf didn't stay where it was. Another deep thump rolled under us. The kind you feel in your ribs more than you hear. Park looked toward the waterline, eyes tight. That wasn't a wave. No, Graves said quietly. It wasn't. Cole set his jaw. We continue mission until I call otherwise. No one breaks formation again. We left the checkpoint behind. Left the rucksack still sitting neat against the concrete. Left Rodriguez cooling on the ground, hit by a single round from nowhere. We didn't know it then, but that moment had already marked the shift. Whatever had taken the surveillance team didn't want us gone. It wanted us deeper. It wanted us moving toward it. And the one suppressed shot was the first real sign that something out here had its own plan. We moved off the checkpoint fast but controlled, keeping tight formation and using the taller rocks for cover. The air felt heavier the farther we pushed. Not colder, just weighted, like the pressure wanted to drag our steps down. Hawk kept checking his tablet for Rodriguez's tracker, even though we knew the man wasn't coming back. Habit, discipline. But what he said next chilled the rest of us more than the body left behind. His signal isn't dead, Hawk whispered. It's slipping, in and out. Not moving, not static. Just flickering like something's blocking, then releasing it. Park glanced back. His body's right there. That doesn't make sense. I know, Hawk said. Still happening. Cole spoke low. Keep logging it. We need every detail when we debrief. We kept climbing until the surf faded to background noise. For a moment, I thought maybe we were past the worst of the weirdness. Then, something hit the water down below. A metallic splash, deep, heavy, like a submerged steel door slamming shut. The force of it rattled small rocks down the slope. Ruiz jumped a little. What the hell was that? Not a wave. No, Graves said, staring at the dark inlet. That was weight. Park clicked his radio twice, testing signal. It fuzzed at the edges, then cleared. Signal's clean up here, he said. Same pattern as before. Corruption happens only close to the surf. Why only the surf? I asked. Saltwater reflection, maybe, Hawk offered. But he didn't sound convinced. He kept flicking the antenna like he expected something to crawl out of it. Before anyone could add more, a pressure surge rolled through the ground. Not from above, from below. A deep push like the cliffside leaned toward the sea for half a second. My knees buckled against it. Everyone felt it. Ruiz pressed a hand to her chest. What was that? That wasn't terrain shift. Park steadied himself. I felt it through my boots, like something shoved the rock from underneath. Graves didn't look at us. He kept watching the water line far below. Something's moving under us. Cole frowned. Explain. You remember how waves pull back before a big one, Graves said. This isn't that. This is the water reacting to something else pushing it. Before Cole answered, Hawk hissed into the comms. I'm picking up a secondary signal. Same frequency as our missing detachment. Unstable. Fading, Cole ordered. Can you get a fix? No. It keeps jumping like someone's turning it on and off from underwater. Ruiz's voice thinned. Underwater? No one wanted to say yes. We pushed farther inland, trying to get eyes on the last known bunker cluster. Park took point again, sweeping slowly. The ridge opened up into a sloped clearing where old structures sat half-collapsed. Rusted metal, broken antennas, tangled cables buried in the dirt, all of it silent. While Park scanned, Hawk tapped Rodriguez's feet again. The signal hiccuped. Then came a whisper of audio static crushing most of it, but something like a faint breath underwater. Hawk froze. I'm patching it to all headsets. A sound leaked into our ears. A low, wet drag. Metal scraping. A rush of water. Then two words, warped and short, like someone speaking from the bottom of a lake. It's close. SEAL 2's voice. Bartholomew. The last transmission before the detachment went dark 72 hours earlier. Ruiz covered her mouth. Cole's jaw tightened. Park scanned harder, like the voice alone could pinpoint the source. Graves only said one thing. We're not alone out here. Cole forced his breathing steady. Everyone stay sharp. We pull back 20 yards and reassess. We shifted positions, but I could feel the unease crawling higher in the group. When trained operators start doubting the ground they stand on, something has gone wrong in a way that training doesn't fix. Park crouched beside a chunk of broken bunker wall. He ran his fingers along grooves carved into the concrete. These aren't tool marks, he said. Something dragged across the surface. Heavy. Machinery? I asked. No pattern. No shape. Just pressure. Ruiz backed away from the edge of the cliff. We need to call this in. Already trying, Hawk said, tapping the radio. Signal's good here, but the minute I patch through toward the waterline, it dies. Cole crouched beside him. Keep trying. If we can confirm enemy action or environmental hazard. This isn't enemy action, Graves said. Then what is it? Ruiz shot back. I don't know, Graves admitted. But I've seen the aftermath once, not the cause. Never the cause. Cole stared at him. This is what you were hinting at earlier. Graves nodded. Old op, before your time, patrol vanished. No sign of a fight. Just gear left behind, same as we found. Ways were wrong then too. Cole didn't curse, didn't panic. He just recalculated the situation in his head. All right, he said finally. This becomes a threat avoidance mission. We confirm what we can and get out. No chasing signals, no approaching the waterline. We move on our terms. He pointed to a rocky slope leading inland. We go that way. High ground, better angles. Less exposure to whatever is in the surf. Hawk raised a hand. Sir SEAL 2's signal moved. It's deeper now, then gone. Now back again. Ruiz stiffened. He's been dead for days. Park swallowed. So what's transmitting? Before Cole could answer, a low groan echoed from below the cliff. Not metal. Not rock. Something alive. Big. Slow. Like a lung filling where no lung should exist. The water below churned in a strange spiral. Not tide. Not wind. Something pulling it from beneath. Cole made the call fast. We move now. No stopping. High ground only. But as we turned, Graves froze and whispered almost to himself, "It's tracking us." Cole turned sharply. "What?" "The water," Graves said. "Movement matches our steps. Every pause, every shift in formation, it's following the pattern." We all looked down at the surf. The water pulsed against the rocks in a rhythm too close to our own. When we halted, it slowed. When we stepped, it surged. Park's breathing hitched. "How is that possible?" Ruiz whispered. "It's responding, or listening." Cole didn't let the fear spread. He raised his voice just enough. Eyes forward. We keep distance. No more contact with the water than necessary. We pushed up the slope, hearts thudding, ears tuned to every sound behind us. Hawk tried another signal burst. Static. Then silence. Then that faint breath again. Then nothing. The lane narrowed, forcing us near the edge where the rocks fell steep into the surf. Graves muttered, "Bad bottleneck." "I know," Cole said. "We'll clear it fast." We never got the chance. The surf below slammed hard, forced upward by something huge shifting. Water sprayed up the cliff, cold and sharp. The deck under us vibrated. Then, for the first time, we heard movement that wasn't wave or wind. A scraping slide. A heavy pull. Something dragging itself in the dark water line just out of sight. Graves pointed. "It's closer than before." He wasn't wrong. Whatever had taken the detachment wasn't hiding anymore. It was approaching, studying, testing our response. And it was doing it with patience no human enemy ever had. We hit the narrow stretch of rock where the ridge dipped closer to the surf. None of us liked it. Too exposed, no high ground. No cover besides broken concrete chunks from old bunker walls. The sea below sounded wrong again. Thick, heavy pulls, like something big was shifting under the surface and scraping along the rock. Cole raised a hand. Move fast. No stopping. We moved single file, tight spacing. Park in front, then Cole, Ruiz, me, Hawk, with Graves running rear because he wanted it that way. His call, not ours. He always said the rear needed someone who could smell danger. Halfway across, the surf exploded upward. Not a wave. A surge. The kind that comes from something breaking the surface with force. Part dropped to a knee. Cole almost shouted but caught himself, keeping it to a low bark. Hold your ground. The water line tore open. Not in a clean break. More like several thick shapes shoved the surface aside. Heavy limbs. Not tentacles like in old sailor stories. These were thicker, built for pulling along stone, covered in slick ridges and circular marks like suction scars. They slapped onto the rock with wet impact, gripping hard. Ruiz whispered, "What the hell? Don't say anything," Graves said, voice flat. "Just watch it." Another limb surfaced. Then another, not flailing, not surging, placing, like something below the surface was preparing to climb. I raised my rifle, not because I thought it would stop the thing, but because it was all I had. "It's not behaving like any animal I know," Part said, voice tight. "It's not behaving like anything," Ruiz added. Cole's voice cut through. "Controlled bursts only. Defensive fire. Do not waste rounds. Aim to create distance." The limbs pushed higher, gripping deeper into the stone. You could hear the suction peeling when they shifted. Whatever was attached to them stayed mostly submerged, but the mass of it, dark, wide, too fluid, moved with slow confidence. "This thing knows the shoreline," Graves said. "Better than we do." Park opened first. 3 quick bursts, low and steady. Rounds struck the closest limb. Thick tissue slapped back, twitching but not retreating. More limbs pushed forward instead, steady and deliberate. Cole fired next. Hawk followed. I joined in. Ruiz stayed back, covering our flanks. The impacts landed. The recoil thumped through my arms. The creature responded, but not the way an animal should. No panicked retreat. No wild thrashing. Just a slight shift, as if it calculated the damage and adjusted. Then Seal 2's fate unfolded right in front of us. A limb shot upward from the dark water, fast as a spear. It wrapped around Hartman, who had moved only a step too close to the edge, pinning his arms. He didn't even scream. Just a shocked grunt as his body lifted clean off the ground. Cole lunged, grabbed Hartman's vest, and fired point blank into the limb. The shots tore into the flesh, but the grip didn't loosen. The thing just yanked harder. Hartman vanished over the edge, pulled into the surf in one brutal motion. Gone before anyone processed it. Ruiz shouted his name, but the ocean swallowed the sound. Cole stared at the water for half a heartbeat. I saw it in his face, the war between trying to save a man and knowing, in a place he didn't want to admit, that the fight was unwinnable. His voice came out quiet but cutting. "We're not killing this. We're not even hurting it, we're getting out." Graves shifted forward, covering the flank. "We need to fall back up the ridge, now." Part fired another short burst at a limb creeping too close. It recoiled an inch, then kept coming. "This thing's not retreating," Part said. "It doesn't have to," Graves muttered. "This is its terrain." Hawk tried the radio again. "Command, this is Echo Team. Hostile contact. Maritime biological." Static swallowed him. He slammed the radio with his palm. Nothing. "It dies the second I pointed toward the surf." "We don't need comms," Cole said. "We need distance. Everyone move. Back toward the high ridge. Keep fire controlled." We started stepping back in a slow, coordinated withdrawal. Not a run, not chaos. Just tight discipline drilled into muscle memory. Ruiz kept covering the rear with Graves. Park covered the front. The limbs tracked us, matching our movement, gripping new stone as they shifted their hold. They weren't flailing. They were positioning, calculating lines to reach us again. One limb lashed forward low to the ground. Graves planted a boot against it and shoved, firing downward. The thing recoiled fast, the suction noise sharp enough to make my stomach twist. Cole grabbed my shoulder. "Keep eyes up. Don't let it flank from the surf." We reached the wider part of the ridge, but the creature surged again. The water bulged outward like something massive inside wanted to break fully through. Ruiz whispered, "It's bigger than we thought. No estimates," Cole said. "Focus on survival." Park pointed at a rising set of rocks. "Higher ground there. We can bottleneck it." "No bottlenecks," Graves said. "It does better in close quarters." Cole looked torn for a second, then nodded. "We hold only long enough to create an exit window. Nothing more." We planted ourselves in a staggered line, rifles aimed down. The creature shifted again. The limbs grabbed higher rock. Thick, powerful, not mindless. Then it lifted part of itself, just enough for us to see the shadowed bulk beneath the surface wide and rolling, like a living wall. No clear shape, no eyes, no recognizable form, just presence. A body adapted to deep water, using the shoreline as a trap. A deep vibration rolled through the stone, felt more than heard. Hawk whispered through clenched teeth, "It's trying to get leverage to come all the way out." Cole barked, "Fire, suppression. Make it hesitate." We opened up again, controlled. Measured. Brass hitting the ground in quick clinks. Rounds slamming into flesh and stone. The limbs jerked back, not in pain but in recalculation. A predator adjusting angle. It didn't fear us. It studied us. Graves stepped forward 2 paces, firing slow and precise. "Keep distance. Don't let it grab anyone else." A limb shot up again, aiming for Cole this time. He rolled back, firing upward. The round tore through the ridge of the limb, spraying cold, slick fluid across the stone. The creature retreated just enough to regroup. Cole's decision came fast. "This isn't a fight we win. We extract. Move." We started pulling back through the ridge, giving short, controlled bursts as we went. The creature didn't fully pursue, but it didn't leave either. It hovered at the waterline, several limbs still gripping the rock, as if deciding how far it wanted to push. For a second, everything held still. Our rifles trained on the surf, the creature's limbs frozen in place. Then the bulk beneath the surface sank slightly, like it decided something. Graves said it first. "It's not done." And he was right. The thing had taken one of ours. It wasn't finished. It was waiting for the next moment to strike. We broke contact with the waterline and pushed up the ridge, moving fast but steady, no talking. Just breath, gear clatter, and the faint hum of radios trying to stay alive. My legs burned from the climb, but fear kept the pace. Every few steps I glanced back, expecting another limb to hook the rocks and drag one of us down. It didn't come, not yet. When we stopped on a flatter rise, Hawk started checking signals again. His hands shook, but only a little. He wiped the water off the handset and listened. "Rodriguez's signal is gone," he said. "Hartman's too. 2 is the one pulled into the surf," Ruiz said quietly. "What about him?" Hawk froze. "Hold on." Static surged through the channel, thick and grinding. Then a sound came through. Heavy breathing. Distorted. Wet. Not like a person wearing gear. More like someone trying to breathe while half underwater, then scraping metal. A rough, dragging rhythm, then water rushing hard, muffling everything. No voice, no words, just proof. Ruiz covered her mouth. Her eyes went glassy. "He's alive?" "No," Graves said, flat and final. "That's not him. That's his radio being moved." Cole looked like he'd been punched. "Where?" "Deep," Hawk said. "Signal keeps dipping into nothing. Whatever is carrying it is going lower." Ruiz whispered. "So he's not recoverable?" No one answered. None of us could bring ourselves to say the word. Not out loud. The sea groaned below us again, a low rumble that vibrated the rocks under our boots. Park leaned over the ridge and stared at the waterline. "It's changing direction," he said. "What's that mean?" I asked. "It's following something. Maybe us. Maybe the signal." Hawk shook his head. "No, it's not tracking the radios. It drops the second the surf spikes." Graves crouched and touched the rock. "It's tracking movement, vibration, patterns. This thing knows terrain through water and stone." "Animals don't do that," Ruiz said. "This isn't an animal," Graves replied. Cole took a long breath. All right, recovery is impossible. We focus on getting out. We move north along the ridge to extraction. No one gets separated. We don't stop near the waterline again. It was the right call. A hard one, but right. We started moving again, forming a tight wedge as we climbed the ridgeline. The terrain boxed us in, rocks to our left, sheer drop to our right, surf smashing below. Every time the tide struck, the radio popped like something exhaled into it. Park moved slower than before, focused more. He stopped to study every shift of the surf. The water's responding to us, he said, even up here. It waits. Then it surges when we move. Hawk laughed once, but there was no humor. Great. The ocean's got opinions again. Ruiz glared at him. Stop talking like that. I'm trying to stay normal, he whispered. Nothing is normal, she snapped. We reached a narrow crack in the ridge. Had to climb single file through it. I kept thinking something was going to reach through the gap and take one of us, but nothing moved. Nothing grabbed. When we regrouped on the other side, Graves stood off to the right, staring toward the surf again. He spoke without turning. I didn't tell you the whole thing earlier. Cole approached him. Then tell it now. Graves kept his eyes fixed on the dark water. The op I mentioned. The one before your time. The patrol that vanished. What about it? Ruiz asked. Their gear was found, Graves said. Neat. Clean. Same as the ruck at the checkpoint. Park swallowed. And the bodies? Never found. Hawk shifted nervously. Command classified it? Sealed, Graves said. Only the senior guys even whispered about it. Why? Ruiz asked. What were they afraid of? Graves finally looked at us. Exactly this. Cole exhaled, slow, steady, holding back whatever emotion he felt. You should have said something sooner. I didn't have proof, Graves said. Guess we have proof now. Another deep vibration rolled up the cliff. This time it felt closer. Stronger. Like something big had moved beneath the surface and pushed the water into the rock. Park pointed to the waves. Look at that. The surf wasn't random anymore. It swelled when we shifted weight, calmed when we froze. It was patterned. Predictive. Hawk went pale. It knows where we are. Cole didn't let the fear grow. We move faster. We keep distance. No stopping until we reach the inland route. We continued upward, legs burning, backs soaked in cold sweat. The ridge narrowed again. We squeezed through. My chest felt tight, like the air itself had changed. Halfway across the top, Ruiz stopped. We can't outrun something that moves through water and under rock. We don't outrun it, Cole said. We avoid it. We deny it opportunity. Until extraction? Hawk asked. Extraction's still a long way. Graves looked at the sea. It'll try again before then. Another pressure surge hit harder this time, strong enough to rattle loose stones down the slope. The ocean slammed upward, then dropped back into itself like something diving deep fast. Park's voice cracked. It's repositioning. Cole's voice was almost a growl. Keep going. We pressed harder, climbing toward the inland ridge. Every few seconds, the surf thumped like a giant heartbeat. Not steady, not natural, just there to remind us it was following. At one point, we heard metal again, scraping over stone, distant but real. Hawk flinched and gripped his headset. Radio spike, he said. Something activated one of our tags. Which one? Ruiz asked. Hawk checked. His face emptied. Hartman's. Ruiz shook her head. He's gone. There's no way. It's not him, Hawk said. It's the radio. Being moved. Cole took a knee beside him. Direction. Down, Hawk whispered. Deeper each time. The wind hit us in a cold burst, unnatural cold, like something big had displaced a pocket of air. Graves drew closer to Cole. We're not getting out clean. It's not going to let us. It's testing our weaknesses. Cole stared ahead. Then we don't give it any. We stick to the plan. Ruiz looked around, eyes glistening. What if extraction isn't enough? Cole held her gaze. It's enough to keep the rest of us alive. That's the only measure tonight. The team absorbed that, not happily, but truthfully. Park saw movement in the surf below, a large shadow passing parallel to the coastline. Slow, watching. It's pacing us, he said. No stopping, Cole repeated. We reach inland. We hold there. We pushed on, feet slipping, breath shaking, radios hissing. Behind us, the ocean stayed alive, pulsing with intent, waiting for the next chance. The fear wasn't death anymore, it was erasure. Whatever moved in that water didn't just kill, it removed. Clean, efficient, without a trace, and it wanted more. By the time we reached the inland ridge, dawn was still a long way off. The cold dug in deeper, carried by gusts that pushed across the rock fields. Even up high, the surf didn't fade. It slammed the shoreline with strange timing, each strike landing too aligned with our movements. It felt like the whole coastline was a sensor array tuned to us. Cole stopped us beneath a jagged overhang. We make a stand here, not to kill it. To slow it, we just need seconds to break away. Hawk swallowed hard. Seconds from what? It's already pacing us. It hasn't fully committed, Graves said. It's waiting for us to bottleneck again. It wants a better angle. Ruiz shook her head. It already took 2 of ours. It'll take more if we don't control this, Graves said. Park scanned downslope, weapons steady. Movement in the surf, multiple limbs, same as before. Cole didn't hesitate. Set perimeter, pick firing lanes. We're buying exit time. This wasn't a hero speech. It wasn't some last stand for glory. It was a tactical decision, a necessary moment to keep the living alive. We spread out in a staggered semicircle, rifles down toward the surf. The moonlight hit the water in broken flashes. The shadow under the surface was bigger now, covering a stretch longer than a truck line. The limbs weren't aiming yet, they were testing distance, sliding across submerged rock. The first surge came without warning. The surf blasted up the cliff like something underneath shoved tons of water at once. Rock shook, dirt rolled. I had to brace to keep from slipping toward the edge. Park fired first. Controlled bursts, tight grouping. Cole followed. Graves next. Then me. Then Hawk. Rounds tore through the spray. Some hit the limbs. Some hit water. A deep grunt rolled up from below, felt more than heard, like a huge body shifting in the irritation. Ruiz kept to the center, scanning for any flanking movement. It's pushing upward. It's trying to gain ground. Graves moved 2 steps left. No, it's testing our spacing. Don't crowd in. Another limb slapped onto the rock face. Thick, ridged, covered in suction scars from forcing along surfaces that weren't meant for living things. The limb flexed once, like a swimmer stretching before diving. Wait for my count, Cole said. Its grip tightened. Now, we opened fire again, synchronized, disciplined, no panic. Rounds splattered flesh and stone. The limb recoiled, but not out of fear. More like it paused to rethink. That terrified me more than anything we'd seen. Cole breathed out slowly. It's not reacting like an animal. It's reading our response times, Graves said. A deep vibration rolled through the ridge, the strongest yet. Dust shook from the overhang. Park muttered, "It's coming up. We need to move." "We will," Cole said. "Not yet. Not until we break its momentum." A limb shot upward again, this time from an angle none of us expected, curling around a rock spire and pulling hard, using the formation as leverage. Graves saw it first. Left flank. We swung rifles toward the new threat and fired. The limb recoiled, but another emerged on the right, then another near the center. Multiple tries, mapping our lines, adjusting pressure, probing weaknesses. "It's forcing us backward," Hawk said, voice cracking. "That's the point," Graves said. "It wants us to retreat into a funnel." Cole understood instantly. We refused the funnel. We break off now. He pointed toward the inland incline. We run that direction. Fast. No stops. Controlled fire during movement. If you fall, you get up or you get dragged. Move on my account. Park looked at him. "Who's rear guard?" Graves answered before Cole could speak. "Me." Cole shook his head. "No, I'm the heaviest," Graves said quietly. "Hardest to pull. I buy you time, you get them out." "No," Cole repeated. "This isn't a vote," Graves said. "This is math. I know what I'm doing." Ruiz's breath hitched. "Chief!" He cut her off with a small shake of the head. "Someone stands. Better it's the one who saw this coming." The ocean slammed again. Hard. Water exploded upward. The limbs spread across the cliff, preparing for a push. Cole clenched his jaw, then gave the order he didn't want to give. "On my mark." Graves stepped into the open. He didn't take a heroic stance. No big pose. Just planted his boots wide, rifle aim steady, breaths controlled. "Move," he said quietly, almost calm. "Don't stop." Cole snapped his hand forward. "Go." We broke inland while Graves held the line alone. The limbs surged as soon as we moved, 3 of them lunging upward in a coordinated crash. Graves fired short, precise bursts, hitting each one as it swung. His voice came through our comms, steady as bedrock. "Left, clear. Center, clear. Keep moving." We pushed uphill, hearts pounding, lungs burning. Ruiz stumbled once but regained her footing. Hawk nearly dropped his radio, caught it, kept running. Park moved like he was glued to the terrain. Another massive surge hit. The cliff groaned. A deeper shadow rose in the surf. Graves fired again. Don't look back. But I did, just once. I saw the limbs closing in around him, not grabbing yet but narrowing the distance. He stood his ground, firing until the ridge shook again. His final message came through the headset. Calm, steady, certain. Move. Don't stop. Then silence. No scream, no struggle. Just his voice cut off. We kept running. Not because we wanted to, because we had to. Because stopping meant being taken the same way. We reached the inland trail and kept moving, descending toward the extraction inlet. None of us spoke, not even Hawk. The only sound was our breathing and the distant surf slamming with fresh force. 100 yards from the extraction point, I saw it one last time. The water shifted. A huge shadow swept parallel to our path, dark, smooth, sinking deeper. Not chasing, not rising. Leaving, dropping back into whatever depth it owned, like a door closing. The moment it vanished, the surf returned to normal rhythm. The pressure in the air lifted. The wind felt lighter, but we didn't stop running until our boots hit the extraction zone. And even then, it didn't feel like we were safe. The extraction cove was nothing more than a cut in the coastline where the water stayed calm enough for a boat to slide in quiet. When we reached it, everything felt wrong. The air had weight. The surf behind us had gone still in a way the ocean never does. Even the wind felt like it didn't want to move. Cole signaled the boat with a small infrared flash. The pilot answered with one short blink. Clean. Professional. No questions asked. We boarded fast. No talking. No looking back. Hawk helped Ruiz in, then collapsed onto the bench, clutching his radio like he didn't trust it to stay with him. Park stayed at the bow, watching the water with his rifle raised even after the boat pushed off. As soon as we cleared the rocks, the pilot opened the throttle just enough to skim the surface without drawing attention. He didn't ask why we were missing 2 operators. He didn't ask why Cole looked like he'd swallowed a live wire. He just drove. About 200 yards out, the boat hit clean water. No more strange pressure. No more unpredictable waves. The sea acted normal again, as if nothing had ever happened. Ruiz finally spoke, her voice tight. 2 unrecovered. 1 KIA. 1 missing. Cole answered without looking up. Confirmed. Hawk rubbed his eyes with the heel of his palm. Graves was right there. 1 second he was firing. Next second he just stopped. Park didn't turn. He knew what he was doing. He bought us the window. Ruiz looked at Cole. We're putting that in the report. Cole shook his head slowly. We're putting what command will accept, nothing more. The ride back felt longer than it should have. Every time the engine hummed over a deeper patch of water, all of us tensed. Not from danger. From memory. From knowing something huge lived where the charts showed empty space. When we reached the ship offshore, we disembarked in silence. The deck lights felt too bright. The air too clean. The crew started unloading gear, but Cole stopped them. Bag everything. Classified chain only. They did as they were told. No hesitation. We were taken to debrief within minutes. A small room, metal chairs, no windows, 2 officers and a recorder. They asked their questions the way intel staff always did. Simple, direct. No hint of what they actually thought. Cole answered for all of us. Calm. Measured, no extra details. Hostile maritime encounter with unidentified large biological entity under degraded visibility and communications. That was the phrase they wanted. Not monster, not creature, nothing that sounded impossible. Just clean words for an unclean truth. They asked about Graves. about Hartman, about Rodriguez. Cole kept it clinical, unrecoverable, no emotion. Just fact. Ruiz clenched her jaw every time the word came up. For medics, unrecoverable was a wound that never healed. It meant unfinished. It meant hope cut off in a sterile sentence. After an hour of questioning, they dismissed us to quarters. Told us medical would look us over in the morning. Told us we'd receive follow-up instructions about operational silence. We didn't need the reminder. None of us wanted to talk about what happened. I heard later that all our helmet cam footage was seized. Data drives too. Wiped from our hands before we even realized. Only the officers who handled compartmented files would ever see them again. The coastline we came from was marked as a high-risk maritime exclusion zone. No night operations. No small unit deployments. No sonar mapping deeper than surface range. The area was redlined without explanation. The kind of decision command makes when they know something is real but refuse to name it. We didn't argue. Park sat alone for hours, going through every step in his mind, trying to find the moment we could have changed the outcome. I don't think he found one. I don't think any existed. Hawk checked his radios repeatedly, even though they were powered off. Habit. Fear. Maybe both. Every time he looked at the surf off the ship's stern, he paled a little. Ruiz kept writing in her notebook. She always did after missions. Notes about casualty procedures. Medical responses. But this time she stopped halfway through a page and closed the book like the words themselves were too heavy. Cole gave his official report that night, a clean version, the kind that fits into a file without setting off alarms. But after the officers left, he pulled out an unauthorized recorder. A private record. He spoke quietly. No audience, no performance. Chief Navarro saved the team. He held the line. He knew what was coming before any of us did. He was the reason we made it out. That was his truth, not the reports. He didn't mention the creature, didn't mention the limbs or the shadow under the surface, but he didn't need to. Those things stayed with us anyway. When dawn broke, the ship moved farther from the coast. The sun lit the water in a soft glow. Normal waves rolled past the hull. Nothing strange, nothing alive under the surface, but I knew better. That coastline wasn't empty. It never had been. Something lived there. Something that didn't fear us. Something that understood the terrain better than any map or sonar. Command buried the evidence, files sealed. Operations rerouted, questions dismissed. The ocean stayed the same, but we didn't. You don't forget the sound of something pulling one of your own into the dark. You don't forget the weight of knowing it wasn't a fight. It was a warning. And the truth stays out there, under the waves, waiting for anyone who gets close enough to hear it. We survived. That's all the report will ever say. But the real story stays with us. And the sea keeps its secrets. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.